Hi, welcome to On This Day in Tudor History with me, Claire Ridgway, author of several Tudor history books. Now today I'm taking you back to the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, in fact the final days of her reign. For on this day in Tudor history, the 21st of March 1603, a dying Queen Elizabeth I finally took to her bed. Elizabeth had been deeply depressed following the death of her close friend and lady, Katherine Howard, Countess of Nottingham, on the 25th of February, and was feverish and had had trouble sleeping at the beginning of March 1603. When Sir Robert Carey, the Countess's brother, visited the Queen at Richmond on the 19th of March, he found her sitting on cushions in one of her withdrawing chambers. When he entered, she took him by the hand and said, "No, Robin, I am not well," and gave 40 to 50 sighs. He described her melancholy humour that was too deep-rooted in her heart for him to do anything about. Soon she stopped eating, but refused to see a physician. An anonymous contemporary recorded how the Queen could be prevailed on neither by entreaties, arguments, nor artifices to take the least medicine and scarcely sufficient nourishment to support life, and went on to say that she could get no sleep whatever. Dreading her bed, she sat up whole days supported by pillows, mostly awake and speaking not at all. Elizabeth's coronation ring had to be sawn off as it was digging into her flesh, and historian J.E. Neal writes of how this was a symbolic act, as though her marriage with the realm was to be destroyed. And there was a new monarch waiting in the wings, the son of Mary, Queen of Scots, King James VI of Scotland. On the 19th of March, Robert Carey wrote to James, telling him that Elizabeth would not live more than 3 days, and on the 20th of March, he sent a draft proclamation of James's kingship. On the 21st of March 1603, the day of the Countess of Nottingham's funeral, the Queen's physicians and Privy Council sent for the Countess's husband, who was Charles Howard, Earl of Nottingham and also Lord High Admiral. By this point, the Queen had, according to Robert Carey, remained upon her cushions 4 days and nights at least, although another contemporary recorded that she'd been sitting on cushions for 10 days. Everyone was concerned. Nobody could persuade her to go to bed. But according to Carey, on the 21st of March 1603, his brother-in-law, the Lord Admiral, was able to get the Queen to bed, what by fair means, what by force. Elizabeth would never leave her bed. Although she seemed to rally at first, asking for meat broth, Carey described on the 23rd of March, the Queen grew speechless. Although she couldn't speak, she was able, by signs, to call for her council, and then, by putting her hand to her head when the King of Scots was named to succeed her, chose James VI of Scotland to be her successor, which he did on the 24th of March when Elizabeth died. At least during her final days, the Queen was comforted by religious men she trusted, men like John Whitgift, her Archbishop of Canterbury, and the man she called her little black husband, and also the Bishop of London, Bishop of Chichester, and other royal chaplains. In fact, Elizabeth wouldn't let Whitgift leave. John Chamberlain recorded that the Queen would not suffer the Archbishop to depart as long as she had sense, but held him twice or thrice when he was going, and could not endure both by reason of his own weakness and compassion of hers. John Manningham recorded how she hugged his hand when he spoke of heaven, but would not let the Archbishop speak of her surviving to have a longer life. She knew she was dying and appears to have been ready for it. I'll give you a link to last year's video from the 24th of March for more details on her final days and her death, and also some of her achievements as Queen. Also on this day in Tudor history, the 21st of March 1556, Thomas Cranmer, former Archbishop of Canterbury, was burnt at the stake for heresy in Oxford. And you can find out more about that in last year's video, which I'll give you a link to. Thank you for joining me. You can subscribe by clicking on that button there. You can give me a like and leave me a comment, and you can also hit the bell to be notified as these videos go live. Thank you. Bye-bye.